The Harrison family reunion was in full swing, crystal glasses clinking against silver trays as my relatives paraded their successes around my parents' expansive backyard. I stood in a quiet corner, nursing a glass of wine and watching my sister hold court near the pool. "You should see my new office," Olivia was telling our cousins, her designer sundress probably worth more than my car. "Corner suite, full staff, amazing view of the city. That's what happens when you work hard and make the right choices in life." I suppressed a smile, taking another sip of wine. If only she knew about my office, the one that occupied the entire top floor of the city's most prestigious building. Speaking of choices, our cousin Beth leaned in. "How's your sister doing?" "Still working at that little company no one's heard of." Olivia's laugh carried across the yard. "Oh God, Sarah. She's still playing entrepreneur or whatever she calls it. Started some consulting firm that probably operates out of her garage." "Such a shame," Beth clicked her tongue. "She had so much potential." I thought about the documents sitting on my real desk, including Olivia's resume which had arrived yesterday. She had no idea she'd just applied for a job at my company, the same little company she loved to mock. "Sarah." My mother's voice cut through my thoughts. "Stop hiding and come join your sister. She's telling everyone about her promotion." Of course she was. Olivia had been bragging about her new vice president position at Parker & Sons for weeks. Never mind that the company was struggling, or that her department's performance had been declining for months. "I'm fine here, Mom." "Don't be antisocial," Olivia called out. "Come tell everyone about what do you call it? Your business venture." I walked over slowly, aware of the judging eyes taking in my simple black dress and lack of designer accessories. "It's a consulting firm, Olivia. We help companies optimize their operations and improve profitability." "Right," she smirked. "How many employees do you have now?" "2. 3. Try 850 spread across 3 continents." But I just smiled. "Enough to get the job done." "Well," our Aunt Margaret chimed in, "at least you're trying. Not everyone can be as successful as Olivia." I thought about Phoenix Consulting Group's latest acquisition, a $2.3 billion deal that had made headlines in the business world. Headlines my family apparently never read. Speaking of success, Olivia straightened, preening. "Guess who's been headhunted by Eclipse Industries? They're offering me a director position." My heart skipped a beat. Eclipse Industries was my company's public face, the name everyone knew, while Phoenix Consulting Group operated behind the scenes. The position she was applying for would report directly to me. "That's wonderful," I said carefully. "When's your interview?" "Next week." She beamed. "Tuesday morning. The recruiter said I'm exactly what they're looking for. Finally, a company that recognizes real talent." I took another sip of wine to hide my expression. Tuesday's interview was with me, though she wouldn't know that until she walked into the room. "I heard Eclipse Industries is very selective," our cousin Mark said. "Their CEO is supposed to be some kind of business genius. No one even knows who they are, very private." "Please," Olivia waved her hand dismissively. "It's probably just some old man who doesn't want people to know he's running the company from a golf course. Besides, with my experience, they'd be lucky to have me." If she only knew she was talking about her little sister, the one she'd spent years dismissing as a failure. "Sarah used to want to work there, didn't you?" Mom added helpfully. "But they never called you back." "Because I was too busy building it." "Things work out the way they're supposed to, Mom." "Oh honey," Olivia's voice dripped with fake sympathy. "You shouldn't give up. Maybe once I'm in a leadership position there I can put in a good word for you. Get you an entry-level position or something." The irony was almost too perfect. But I just nodded. "That's thoughtful of you." "It is, isn't it?" She preened. "I've always tried to help you, Sarah. It's not your fault you're not as ambitious as me. Some people are just meant for bigger things." I thought about the file on my desk containing her company's performance reports. About how her successful department was actually hemorrhaging money. About how her current company was desperately trying to stop their stock price from falling. "You know what they say," I offered mildly. "Appearances can be deceiving." "What's that supposed to mean?" Her eyes narrowed. "Nothing. Just that success comes in many forms." She laughed, that dismissive sound I'd grown so used to. "Says the person whose biggest client is probably a local coffee shop." Face it, Sarah, you're just not cut out for the corporate world. That's why you're hiding in your little consulting business while I'm out here making real moves. Our relatives nodded in agreement. After all, Olivia was the successful one, the one with the prestigious job title, the designer wardrobe, the country club membership. I was just the disappointing daughter who had walked away from a real career to start my own business. Tell them about your new condo, Mom urged Olivia. The one with the rooftop pool. Oh yes. Olivia brightened. 47th floor, custom everything. The monthly payment is probably more than Sarah makes in a year, but you have to invest in yourself, right? I thought about my penthouse apartment, the one that occupied the entire top floor of the city's most exclusive building. The one none of them knew about because I'd never seen the need to brag. How can you afford that on a vice president's salary? Cousin Beth asked, impressed. Olivia's smile flickered slightly. Well, smart investments. Plus, Parker & Sons really values their executives. We get all kinds of bonuses and perks. I knew for a fact that Parker & Sons had frozen executive bonuses 6 months ago due to declining profits. Just like I knew Olivia had been taking out loans to maintain her lifestyle. It was amazing what you learned when your company specialized in corporate analysis. Speaking of Parker & Sons, Aunt Margaret said, I heard they're having some troubles. Stock price dropping and all that. Just temporary setbacks, Olivia said quickly. Every company goes through rough patches. Besides, that's why I'm making the move to Eclipse Industries. Time to take my career to the next level. And what level is that? I couldn't resist asking. She shot me an irritated look. The kind of level you wouldn't understand, Sarah. Eclipse Industries is a major player in the business world. They don't waste time with small-time consultants. I checked my phone. Another email from my HR director about Olivia's upcoming interview. Candidate seems overconfident, she wrote. Claims to have single-handedly increased department profits by 40%, but records show significant losses under her leadership. You never know, I said, tucking my phone away. They might surprise you. Please, she scoffed. The only surprise will be how quickly they offer me the position. I've never failed an interview in my life. There's a first time for everything. He paused, something in my tone finally registering. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing at all. I finished my wine. Good luck with the interview. I'm sure it will be enlightening. As I walked away, I heard her talking to our cousins. God, can you believe her? My sister's such a nobody. Can't even be happy for my success. If only she knew what Tuesday morning would bring. My phone buzzed, a message from my assistant. Conference room booked for Tuesday's interview. Should we keep your name off the door as usual? Yes, I typed back. Let's make this interesting. The rest of the reunion passed in a blur of Olivia's boasting and my relatives' poorly concealed pity. Every introduction was the same. This is Olivia, the vice president, and her sister Sarah. She does something with consulting. By the end of the evening, Olivia was tipsy enough to be even more honest than usual. You know what your problem is, Sarah? She cornered me by the dessert table. You're afraid of real success. That's why you hide in your little business instead of competing in the real corporate world like me. I carefully selected a chocolate truffle. And what makes you think I'm hiding? Oh please. Look at you, discount store dress, basic jewelry, that old car you still drive. Meanwhile, I'm out here living the life you could have had if you weren't such a coward. I thought about Tuesday morning, about the moment she would walk into that conference room expecting to impress some nameless CEO. You know what they say, Olivia. Pride comes before a fall. Tuesday morning arrived bright and clear. I sat in my corner office, watching the city come alive 50 stories below while waiting for my assistant's signal. My navy silk suit, Armani, though I'd never bothered to tell my family I could afford designer clothes, felt like armor. She's here. My assistant's voice came through the intercom. Security just called up. Is making quite an impression. I smiled, imagining Olivia strutting through the lobby in her highest heels, probably talking loudly on her phone to show everyone how important she was. Let's give her the full experience. Have her wait in the main reception area for 15 minutes, then bring her to conference room A. The one with the city view? No. The internal one with the mirrors. I want her to spend some time looking at herself. While I waited, I reviewed her application one more time. The exaggerations were astounding. Projects she claimed to have led but had actually failed. Profits she said she'd generated that were actually losses. It was amazing what people would claim when they thought no one would check. She's getting restless, my assistant reported 10 minutes later. She's asked 3 times to speak to the CEO directly. 5 more minutes. Finally it was time. I walked to the conference room through my private corridor, entering through the back door while my assistant led Olivia in through the front. The CEO will be with you shortly, I heard her say professionally. Finally, Olivia's voice carried that familiar note of condescension. I don't usually wait this long for interviews. Don't you know who I am? Oh, we know exactly who you are, Ms. Harrison. I waited until the door closed before speaking. Hello, Olivia. She spun around, her perfectly styled hair swishing with the movement. For a moment she just stared, her brain refusing to process what she was seeing. Sarah. She blinked rapidly. What are you doing here? Are you interviewing for a position too? I smiled, walking to the head of the table. No, Olivia. I'm conducting the interview. She laughed, that dismissive sound I knew so well. Very funny. Did you get a job as an HR assistant or something? Look, I'm here to meet with the CEO, so if you could just... I am the CEO. The silence that followed was absolute. I could almost hear the gears turning in her head as she tried to make sense of what she was seeing. That's impossible, she finally managed. Eclipse Industries is a multi-billion-dollar company. You run a small consulting firm. Phoenix Consulting Group, I corrected her, which owns Eclipse Industries along with several other major corporations. That little company no one's heard of is actually one of the largest business consulting firms in the country. She sank into a chair, her designer purse slipping from her shoulder. But you drive an old car. You wear cheap clothes. You live in a normal apartment. No, Olivia. I drive a reliable car because I don't need to show off. I wear what I choose because I don't need designer labels to feel successful. And I have a penthouse that takes up the entire top floor of the Wellington building. I just never felt the need to brag about it. Her face had gone pale, making her expensive makeup stand out starkly. Why didn't you tell us? Tell you what? That while you were mocking my career choices, I was building an empire. That while you were taking out loans to maintain your image of success, I was actually achieving it. I pulled out her application. Which brings us to this interesting piece of fiction. He stiffened. My resume is completely accurate. Really? I started reading. Led team to 40% profit increase in Q3. Interesting, since our analysis shows your department actually lost $2.3 million that quarter. Spearheaded digital transformation initiative. The same initiative that failed spectacularly and cost Parker & Sons millions in wasted resources. Those numbers are confidential. How did you dash? I own a consulting firm that specializes in corporate analysis, Olivia. Did you really think we wouldn't fact-check your claims? She rallied slightly, her chin lifting. Fine. So you've done well for yourself. But I'm still highly qualified for this position. My experience dash. Your experience, I cut her off, is a masterclass in failing upward. You've jumped from company to company, always moving on before the consequences of your mismanagement become apparent. But now you've applied to work for someone who knows exactly who you are and what you've done. Is this revenge? She whispered. For how I treated you. Revenge. I laughed softly. Olivia, this is just business. You're not qualified for this position. Your track record is abysmal, your references are weak, and your reputation in the industry is exactly what you've earned. I wouldn't hire you if you were the last candidate on earth. Tears welled in her eyes, threatening to ruin her perfect makeup. You can't do this to me. I'm your sister. Funny. You didn't seem to care about that at the reunion. What was it you called me? A nobody. I didn't mean dash. Yes, you did. You've spent years looking down on me, mocking my choices, dismissing my success because it didn't look the way you thought it should. Well, now you know what real success looks like. It looks like having the power to reject my own sister for a job because she simply isn't good enough. She stood up suddenly, grabbing her purse. I'll tell everyone about this. About how you humiliated me. Go ahead. I smiled. Tell them how your nobody sister turned out to be CEO of the company you desperately wanted to work for. Tell them how all your bragging and showing off meant nothing in the face of actual achievement. Tell them everything. Mom and Dad won't believe it. Actually, they will. Because while you're telling them, My company will be announcing its acquisition of Parker and Sons. Your current employer is about to become part of my corporation. Which means... No, she whispered. Your position is being eliminated. Along with most of the executive positions you've used to prop up your image of success. Maybe it's time to try working somewhere that values actual results over appearances. She stumbled toward the door, then turned back. I could have done it, you know. Been as successful as you. I just what? Chose to focus on looking successful instead of being successful. Decided that designer clothes and fancy cars were more important than actually building something meaningful. I never knew. No, you didn't. Because you were too busy looking down on me to look up and see how far I'd risen. I pressed the intercom. Please escort Ms. Harrison out. And make sure security has her picture. She won't be admitted to the building again. As she left, I heard her phone ring, probably our mother, calling to ask how the interview went. That would be an interesting conversation. Over the next few weeks, the family grapevine exploded. Suddenly, relatives who had dismissed me for years were calling to congratulate me, to reconnect, to ask about job opportunities. My mother left tearful voicemails about how proud she had always been of me. My father sent emails suggesting we have lunch to discuss business opportunities. I ignored them all. Olivia tried to spin the story, of course. Tried to claim she had turned down the position because the company wasn't a good fit. But when the Parker and Sons acquisition was announced and her entire department was eliminated, the truth became impossible to hide. Last I heard, she was working as a junior analyst at a small firm across town. No corner office, no designer wardrobe, no country club membership. Just a regular job where she actually has to prove her worth. My company continues to grow. We've acquired 3 more major corporations, expanded into international markets, and doubled our workforce. I still drive my reliable car, still choose clothes for comfort over labels, still let my success speak for itself. Sometimes I see Olivia at family gatherings. She's quieter now, more subdued. The designer bags are gone, replaced by more modest accessories. She doesn't brag anymore about her corporate success or mock others' career choices. Last week she sent me an email. I understand now what you were trying to tell me all those years. Success isn't about appearances. I'm sorry I never saw that or you clearly. I didn't respond. Some lessons have to be learned the hard way. My office still has the best view in the city. But now when I look out over the skyline, I don't see buildings and businesses. I see a reminder that success doesn't need to be shouted from rooftops or wrapped in designer labels. Sometimes the biggest success stories are written by the people everyone else wrote off as nobodies. And sometimes, just sometimes, the nobody your sister mocked at a family reunion turns out to be the CEO she desperately wanted to impress. The best revenge? It isn't telling everyone about your success. It's letting them discover it for themselves, right when they're trying to prove they're better than you.